Give us a sense here as to what sort of jumped out at you when you first saw these numbers.
Sure, I'll talk about the online side, and I think they posted really robust online gains here, double digits for the third party, which is obviously impressive at 20%. And then on their own online sales, the 1P business, you mentioned up 7%, and I think that's very healthy considering the environment that we're in. So I think they're on track to deliver a good holiday. Keep in mind that last year the compares are much easier because they did report a 2% decline in online sales. So easy compares, plus a good start to holiday with the results that they're reporting bodes well for them as they move into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, can I ask, I didn't read this number out, but they listed physical stores net sales. That was up about 5.6%, $5 billion. Is that primarily what, the Whole Foods and other things? What exactly is that?
It's largely Whole Foods. I mean, They do have Amazon Fresh stores and still some Amazon Go stores, but it's largely Whole Foods, and that business is gaining momentum. But it's still, as you mentioned, $5 billion. It's very small, so it's not going to move the needle in terms of their overall results. I think, we're still primarily focused on the 3P business, which continues to grow quite nicely. In fact, 20% is a step up from where they've been in the past few quarters. So it's nice to see that that business is still gaining ground. And then on the online side, the 1P business up 7%. We expect it to be up in the mid to high single digits again next quarter. That's a good run rate for Amazon going forward. Considering its size, right, you're looking at about over $600 billion in total GMV on its platform.
Anurag, I want to come to you on Amazon Web Services, the cloud business, because it is the most dominant of the big three cloud giants. And sales in that category rose 12%, which basically matches the record low that they reported the previous quarter. Is that good enough right now?
So right now it's in line with what most people were expecting, plus or minus 30 basis points. It's not a big deal. But the guidance on the call is the most important one. But I would say the one number that really stood out to us was the AWS margins. It went up about 700 basis points. So it's back to around that 30% number. And if you remember a few years ago, they did hit that number. But since then, as the growth slowed down, the margins have been in the low 20s. We've always said this is the most profitable part of Amazon, and it has a long runway ahead. But frankly speaking, at this point, guidance is all that matters when they get on the call and say whether the next quarter is going to be above 12 or below 12.
So how did they achieve those fatter margins in AWS if revenue growth overall stayed steady at 12%?
I think if you'll remember, I mean, they did some cost restructurings over the last 12 to 18 months that I think has factors in there. Stock comp is a big portion, in that area. So
but
I think
are those one-offs, or are those things that they can keep doing quarter after quarter?
See, I think this business itself, anything cloud-related business is very much like, any scalable business. Once you have that, over time, you should get leverage off of it, which is why it's surprising this time. But I think it has to do more with the headcount rather than anything else.
I am curious here, Anurag, when we talk about just how much growth they can generate out of particularly AWS and so I guess the tech side of this business here, particularly when you see other folks in this space, primarily, what we saw with Alphabet. I know a much smaller player in cloud computing, but is there any concern here that we start to see a slowdown in some of the business spending?
See, we should be. We are seeing some slowdown. Both Google and Microsoft did indicate there is the companies or the corporations are still in the cost optimization mode, and it's possible we're going to hear the same thing on the conference call today. But frankly speaking, this is a way of doing or constructing applications that is far superior than the on-premise model. So the longer-term potential of cloud is really big, and Amazon's the biggest player there and should get its fair share of revenue from that.